Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you all had a good Christmas, a good New Year's, all whatever holidays you're celebrating, and hopefully not suffering too much from the hangover you had the other night. Anyways, with 2012 finally in the books, it's time to reflect on the year that has just passed, and today I should say tonight, I am going to be giving you my top 5 films of 2012 and my top 5 games of 2012. Now let me just throw out a couple of caveats for these lists before I go into them. Number one, I have not seen every film nor have played every single game during the course of the year. I'm only one man, and trying to get them through all college and I just don't have an unlimited sack of money which I can play and watch everything. It's just, I'm only one person, and I have to make do with what I've seen and what I've played. Number two, I cannot put something on my list if I have not seen it or played it all the way through. I don't want to give you guys a dishonest list and just put something on my list just because everyone says it's popular or it's great. I want to give you an honest list of something that I genuinely saw and genuinely played during the course of the year. And number three, and this really isn't so much of a caveat as it is just a disclaimer. If you think I'm a little bit off center tonight, it's because I am. I am extremely tired right now because I have spent the last pretty much 3 days trying to filter through all the games and all the films that I went through this year and trying to narrow it down to just 5. I started with 20 each in each category, and just trying to think of, well, where am I going to go with this? Which ones do I have to pick? If I had to pick just 5 in each of them that I could keep from this year, which ones would I choose? And which ones would I like to look back on for this year and make it memorable? And so I have my list. And so, without further ado, oh, one more thing, almost forgot to mention. As I mentioned with the off-center bit, I'm going to get my eyes fixed tomorrow, so you're probably not going to get a good video out of me for at least a couple of days, or several days at worst. And so, with that said, I will try to get my new reviews out as soon as possible, and also I have a new video introduction and music introduction to go along with it. You can kind of think of it as like Season 2 almost. And I will start that with my review of Anarchy Reigns coming out this month. And so I will finish Season 1, or at least try to finish this first season, with my reviews of Gunbuster and Assassin's Creed 3. I will try. I can't make any promises, but I will try. And hopefully I will be a lot more coherent than I am now. But enough stalling, let's get right into the list with my top 5 films of 2012. Alright, so coming in at number 5, we have Steven Spielberg's biopic with Daniel Day-Lewis. You guessed it, it's Lincoln. I'm a huge history nut, especially my dad, who is a big Civil War fan, loves President Lincoln. We both love looking into him, researching him, and we were both really excited to see this movie, and it did not disappoint in the slightest. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis killed it as Lincoln. I almost was convinced completely that Lincoln himself came back from the dead to go on camera and be played and portray himself on film, and it was unmistakable. It was like he became Lincoln and was Lincoln. I mean, there are very few moments during the course of the year, or just filmmaking in general, when you see an actor encompass someone so well and so perfectly that it's chilling in a way, and Daniel Day-Lewis knocked it out of the park. This movie was 95% dialogue, or maybe 95 to 99% dialogue. I'm very much sure of it, to my recollection. And none of it was boring. Just watching the process of seeing how the 13th Amendment was about to be passed, all the stuff that Lincoln had to go through and the obstacles he had to overcome to get this amendment passed, and the politics of dealing with such an issue at the time, it was all incredibly fascinating to watch. And just seeing his performance was enthralling, and everyone in this movie, Tommy Lee Jones, Sally Field, Jackie Earle Haley, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I mean, everyone in this movie just knocked it out of the park, and I am so happy that Spielberg took so much respect and dedication to this movie. Hope Daniel Day-Lewis gets a nomination, or better yet, win the Academy Award for Best Actor. I would not be surprised if he did, but I would be glad. I would be glad nonetheless. And one of the reasons I respect Lincoln the most is that it shows to me the unbending desire to do the right thing and realize that dignity must be preserved, not just not for a specific ethnicity, but for everybody. That, like, everyone has the right to dignity and has the right to be treated as a human being and as an equal. And Lincoln shows that and understands that, and the driving force and the unrelenting desire to do the right thing, not to gain some personal benefit, but because it's the right thing by itself. And I respect this movie all the more for that. So Spielberg, you have earned your spot at number 5 with Lincoln. Coming in at number 4, we have probably the biggest, I would say probably the biggest blockbuster popcorn flick on my list, and that is The Avengers. But to The Avengers' credit, it took every single character in The Avengers, made them relevant, made them important in some vital role, and to me, The Avengers is a demonstration of a certain type of lesson that people can take, in that that everybody has their own special ability, something about them that makes them unique or has them made good or able to do good things. But if you work together and put aside your petty differences and just realizing that you have a common goal and a common end to meet, then if you work together, you can accomplish something that nobody else thought was possible. And even when all hope is lost, you could still reach that point. And I know The Avengers is meant to be just a fun superhero movie, and I'm probably reading too much into this, but I honestly feel like that's a lesson that The Avengers can teach and be worth listening to. And I fully enjoyed The Avengers. I can't wait to see it again. So, and it's Joss Whedon. Everyone in this movie just knocked it. Just was incredible to watch. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Samuel L. Jackson, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. Man, the Hulk was awesome in this movie. I can't wait to see Mark Ruffalo play him again. Tom Hiddleston, Scarlett Johansson. Wow. Like, who else am I forgetting? Oh, Chris Hemsworth, Thor. How could I forget him? You took everyone. It was like the biggest fanboy movie of the year, and it was so much fun to watch. It was like a literal roller coaster from beginning to end, and the climax was just all sorts of fanboy and wonderful comic booky awesomeness, and I was just having a big smile on my face from beginning to end. So Avengers, you've earned your spot at number 4. Coming in at number 3 was a film that I was very much anticipating and a little bit worried at the same time. With a name like this, you kind of learn that you're kind of gambling on a big name here, and that is The Hobbit. Martin Freeman, oh my lord, you nailed it as Bilbo Baggins. It was at the midnight showing in Dallas in 3D IMAX at 48 frames a second, and it was worth all the price of admission. It was absolutely worth it to see The Hobbit in 48 frames a second and just see The Hobbit itself as a movie. The music was wonderful. It felt like you never left Middle-earth. Peter Jackson, it doesn't feel like the Lord of the Rings movies were made 10 years ago. It feels like they were made yesterday. And the fact that Peter Jackson just came back to Middle-earth, like nothing changed. Like nothing happened. He just waltzed right back in, just started filming again the day after. And I'm glad that he came back to Middle Earth. I'm glad that he's back at the helm. I can't wait to see the second two. I mean, all the actors in this movie. I mean, Martin Freeman, Ian McKellen, Christopher Lee, Kate Blanchett, all the dwarves. I can't remember the dwarves actors' names. Who am I forgetting? Andy Serkis is Gollum. Holy crap, Gollum looks so much better now than he did 10 years ago. I mean, this movie was so good, so good, and to me, this movie was representative of another lesson. Everyone in the group serves a purpose, serves and some function that is vital to the success of the group. I mean, Martin Freeman just comes to the group and I mean, he's just a hobbit. He really doesn't have a purpose amongst a bunch of dwarves going to take back their homeland. What does he got to do with this? But it turns out that Gandalf puts him in this group because he knows something about Bilbo. He sees potential in him. And this is, to me, another idea that once you have home behind you and you're set out into the world, you will discover so much about yourself that you realize you have potential. You realize you could do things that you never thought you previously could before. So Hobbit, you land at number 3. At number 2, I have The Secret World of Varetti. Now I know technically this film was released back in 2010, I think. Yeah, 2010. And just now we're getting it released here in 2012. And I saw this back in February, I think. Yes, February. And I enjoyed every single minute of it. I love Studio Ghibli. Grave of the Fireflies, Ponyo, Kiki's Delivery Service, Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, Princess Mononoke. I mean, Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away. I mean, Miyazaki films, Ghibli films are just wonderful, wonderful movies. And I was so looking forward to seeing a Ghibli film in theaters, and this did not let me down. This movie felt so relaxed and calm that I almost wanted to step into the world of the Secret World of Varetti and just enjoy it while it lasts. I always like movies that have a certain message, even if it's a small message. I always appreciate it more for that, or at least a good lesson. And for this one, I felt like it was a very personal one for everybody, and understanding that anyone can relate to this and probably agree with is that friends can come from anywhere. And so you could probably never meet the person, and you can grow a bond with them. Heck, you go through half the movie, and the two main leads don't even see each other for about half the movie. I mean, Arrietty herself is a really fun character to watch, and just seeing her go on this adventurous spirit, and just trying to keep her family alive in this hostile world for the borrowers, for the people that they could be squashed like a bug. It's just, there's so much good about this movie that I just cannot sum it up in just this little clip. And I implore anyone who has not watched The Secret World of Varetti, or any Ghibli film for that matter, just watch them. Seriously, you're doing yourself a disservice by not watching. I really enjoy the fact that it shows that a friend can come from anywhere, and you can grow a bond, and they can have an impact on your life, and you have something to care for, and you generally go on an adventure with them, no matter how small or how large it is. So Arrietty, you may be small, but you were big enough to land at my number 2 spot. Alright, number 1, the coup de grace of 2012 for me. You've probably heard this on a lot of other top 10 lists, or top 5 lists, or top whatever number of lists this year. And I don't want to sound cliche, but for me, the number 1 movie for me of 2012, the movie that I'm going to reflect back on and says, that got it right. That was the movie that I am going to associate with 2012, is The Dark Knight Rises. I was so pumped out of my mind for this movie, and so were a lot of other people. I saw this movie 3 times in the theaters, and this was insane. I loved every minute of it. And Tom Hardy as Bane, holy crap. I have not seen it. Reminded me so much of watching someone like Darth Vader on screen. I mean, his movements were, the way he talked, the way he acted, the way he the way I mean, it's just there's so much about Bane in this movie that just felt powerful. Felt so destructive and yet calm all the same time. And Batman, holy crap, this guy went through literally hell and back. I mean, to have your back broken in front of everybody and humiliated like that, and just realize that you don't have what it takes anymore, and to push yourself beyond what you thought you were capable of, and try to bring back who you were, your original motivation as Batman, and harness what was it like to be Batman. That is something that was incredibly inspiring to me, and I loved every minute of The Dark Knight Rises. Me, the lesson that I learned from The Dark Knight Rises, or at least the message that I took from it, is that when everything goes to hell, you have to push yourself harder than you ever thought you could and fight for what you believe in, what you protect, and what you care about. Whether it's your friends, your family, your city, anything at all, your own dignity. It's just this is war with Batman at the center of it, and holy crap, that climax was so enthralling. I was literally on the edge of my seat, and I was just glued to the screen. I was like, oh my god, could this get any more intense and awesome? And it was just so enthralling. I had an adrenaline rush going through it, and it was great. I just love The Dark Knight Rises. I am so happy to see that Christopher Nolan wrapped up the trilogy well. I can't wait to see what he does next. And Dark Knight Rises, I bow to you as the movie of 2012 and my top film of the year. So everybody, that is my top 5 films of 2012. I hope you enjoyed this list. And if you disagree with my picks for top 5 films of the year, that's okay. I understand. You have your tastes, I have mine, and we're allowed to have our opinions. We're entitled to our opinions. And I may disagree with yours, and that's okay. Just if you want to express which films are your favorite this year, please comment below. I'd love to hear from that. I'd love to see films that maybe I didn't get around to, like maybe Silver Linings Playbook, or Perks of Being a Wallflower, or something else along those lines. I'm always curious to see something I never got around to. I just want to be honest with you and give a good, sincere list of why I enjoyed the films that I did, why did I have them on my list, and what I took away from them as I watched them and as I reflected on them over the past few days. Until next time, I'm Perry, the One Hour Legend. You name it, I can play it.